Welcome back to Good Germs Off-Road Adventures, and welcome back to the shop and to Captain No Brakes right here. If you were watching the Nothing vlog latest, whatever that number was, I was talking about this one, and I think I showed some of the goodness that has happened to the rear axle down here. And if you don't remember, I think I'm showing it right here for you. But I went ahead and decided to go ahead and replace it with some axle I got off the eBay website, and well, that didn't exactly go as planned, so we're going to go ahead and try to fix it for a second or third or whatever time it is. Hopefully the right way. I don't know, I guess we'll find out. Stick around. We need a light. So here's the axle in question, and this is, of course, the replacement axle. You can see where it bent the A-arm when the other one decided to explode. But right away, you can see you've got the boot here for the slip joint, and well, that boot is just already rubbing on the A-arm because it's in the wrong place somehow. And then the A-arm is also, or the A-arm, they ain't even English language, man, okay. The axle is also not the right length. You can see that boot is just completely stretched out. And if we look at the one on the other side, this is the factory original, it's not all stretched out, and you can see the boot is up above this part of the A-arm, upper A-arm, so it's not going to tear the boot in that spot. You can see that's just not going to work. So like I said, I got that axle on the eBay website. It doesn't even have a brand, like it doesn't have a name. I don't know what you call it. And I didn't care to ask it what it preferred to be called, but yeah, just it was the cheapest one I could find. And I'm making this video more or less just as a lesson for myself, to remind myself never to do this again, but to, you know, show you all that just because something looks kind of right doesn't make it right. So now what I've gone with is this Caltric axle, and it says CV axle, but we know this axle not to have any CV joints anywhere in it. And for this particular quad, if you remember, that is a 1997 Polaris Sportsman 500. Yes. This is their part number, AX247, made in China. They want you to know where it came from. And here's the axle right here. Look, I don't know if it's right, but the photographs of it looked more correct. They look more similar to the OEM axles than the one that I put on there. And reviews said it fit. Okay. Also, the hub carrier got a bit damaged, and I happened to find this also on the eBay website, and this is probably the cleanest used part I have ever received from anybody on eBay. I'll put the name of the store below in case y'all are interested who this came from on the eBay, but pretty good quality used part. The bearing in it is still there. It looks good. There's no cracks in the seal. Looks good. So I think we're going to be able to run the bearing that's already in here. Well, enough of that said. Let's just go ahead and get this thing up in the air, get the wheel off, get the axle changed out, and see how the new one does. So one of the issues I had with that new axle is it didn't really fit the bearings that go into the hub, and well, that is worse than what we started out with. We have a completely destroyed bearing, and well, thankfully we've got what appears to be a good bearing that has come with that, you know, thing, the used part, the new hub carrier. Okay, that's fine. Let's put that over there. That's fine. You see, I didn't even bother putting the cotter pin because I already knew that we were going to have a problem after we put it together, and it just didn't work. So I've got to get the thing and bust off that nut right there. Yep. A believe this to be a 15 16ths, and I'm way, way wrong. Oh man. Maybe it's 1 inch plus 1/8. There it is. Okay. There we go. And I've mentioned this before, however many washers come off the thing, that's how many you want to put back on it. Yep. Oh yeah. Let me show you what that looks like, because it is shocking. That is just not correct. Okay, you see me do this before. I like to put some kind of towel down under this because you end up with grease falling off of everything, and just grab one from the wife's linen closet out of the house. It's fine. Just whatever you do, don't make videos of you doing it. She might catch you. Okay. And of course, all of these bolts and nuts we're popping off here, they're all of the 9/16 variety. Okay, there's that one, and that one, and that one. Yep. Now these lowers, if you remember, we've got the barrel that holds this hub carrier in, and sometimes you can take the bolt, give it a little bit of sideways motion, and you can get the threads to catch on that barrel to pull it out, and sometimes it doesn't work at all. And on this one it doesn't work at all. That's fine. So when that happens or doesn't happen, I find a screwdriver and I just kind of shove it in there and again put some angle on it and just wiggle it. I just wiggle. There it comes. You don't need it to come out very far. That's far enough. There we go. That's good enough. And then we can take this bolt out. And then this actually isn't going to pull off because that axle is jammed up in that bearing right there. So what we're going to do is get back up in there with an wrench and undo the bolt that holds that together. Now fortunately, because this is an old 90, what did I say it was? It's a 97, but a 98, 99, whatever year, any that have this axle also have the rear brake on a disc right there in front mounted to the transmission, so you can lock the brake and then you can get something on that bolt, which is right here, and this is the bolt that holds the axle into the axle cup in the transmission, and I am just not finding it for a reason. There we go. And I would highly advise to use a ratcheting wrench such as this. Makes it a lot easier. I know I've said it before, but you can find these ratcheting wrenches at any store that sells them, but don't buy these because these, look, they're not doing well. Anyway. Let's see, have we worked that bolt out yet? Nope, okay. It's a little tricky, you know. I'm not a big fan of the design, but I guess that's why they got away from this as quickly as they could. It's a lot of threads. That may be the end of it, because now I can't get my wrench back. That's fine. And here, can we just pull it out now? We could if we had the bolt all the way out. There we go. Perfect. Okay, well now I'm showing the difference in the two axles, and they're lined up pretty close to each other. You know, the original one, this comes up a little bit higher. Well, this isn't the original, this is the Caltric one. This comes up a bit higher. This shaft here, it's a bit longer. And we have a Zerk fitting here, and I'm not sure if that's going to interfere with the hub carrier or not. We hope not, but this is not as big, you know, it's not as wide as this one, so it should be okay. The one in this one actually rubbed up against the inside of the hub carrier, and I had to cut the Zerk fitting up. But that's okay, we're going to throw all that mess away. But this can extend longer, so you can see that this shaft will actually go longer when we need it to. At least in my mind anyway. I think first, let's see if this other axle is going to fit nicely and play nice with the replacement hub carrier that we, you know, purchased. Okay. This new Caltric axle, it did come with a new cotter pin, but it did not come with a castle nut. And from what I understand, the OEM castle nuts don't fit. I hoard these things, I never throw them away. So I was able to find one in my parts box that did fit perfectly. But if you're going to use this brand of axle, you're going to need to find out where you're going to get a castle nut that fits. Caltric probably has these available on their website and on the Amazon place and on the eBay place from Caltric. But like I said, fortunately I already had one of these laying around. So like I said, before I get too far, I want to make sure this is going to fit into the replacement hub carrier that we have, and I'm most concerned with that grease fitting right there. Let's go ahead, put this in. Is it going to slide into the bearing? Oh yeah, that's what it's supposed to do. And then now let's have a look at that Zerk fitting that's in there. See, this Zerk fitting looks like it clears with room to spare. Lovely. Okay. Well, with that good news so far, I'm pretty comfortable moving forward and putting the new Caltric axle in the quad. Quite simply, it just pushes right up into the splines. And you don't have to beat these with a hammer to get them to go in. They just kind of go in nicely. Kind of like that. And then we just have to tighten the bolt that's in the middle. And that bolt is a 9/16 as well. Starts easily because, well, it's already automatically centered. That's lovely. And I need my wrench back. There it is. Hopefully this will get on the head of the bolt. Yes. And those threads, they're long-winded threads in there, you know. And I'm just trying to get it as tight as I possibly can, because that's what you need to do. It's impossible to put a torque wrench in here, so we're just going to drive it till we can't do it anymore. I got to push it, turn it. Okay, that's going to have to do. All right, and then down here, we need these bushings. Let's take the sleeve out. We need that. And then we need these bushings. These bushings are in good shape, but I need to reuse them because I didn't buy new ones. Oh, here we go. Lovely. Ow. Don't do that. Here, do it this way. There we go. And now we can just put these in here. Yep. Perfect. And then this guy goes in there. Well, that looks pretty nice. Okay. Get the bottom of this. I need a hammer to pop in those barrels. The one on this side's already in. There we go. This one is a tight fit for some reason. There we go. That looks good. And we'll just kind of start these by hand. There we go. And I'm going to get a grease gun for this real quick. You know, the newer quads, they don't have all of these Zerk fittings everywhere. Oh, it didn't even take much. That's probably why. You know, as example, I think Ruby has these grease fittings in these places, but Billy may too. I don't remember because I haven't worked on it in the last week. But, you know, we had that 2006 500, and it did not have these grease fittings in it. There we go. Okay. And now we can put all these back on. Looks good. This isn't all the way in. There it goes. There we go. That's all the way in. And now you can kind of see, let me scoot you over. You can kind of see that bushing looks appropriate now. And it's also not going to rub on the A-arm kind of there. Okay. That's fine. So now we need the hub. Couple of washers. And the nut that I took off of this. I don't know where it went. That's not it. Oh, it's over here. That looks pretty good. And no wiggles, nice and tight. Nice and tight, but more importantly, it turns very smooth like, which is exactly what we want. So as you can see, we've got the wheel on, which means we've gone ahead and torqued the Kessel nut to the 80 foot-pounds roughly that's specified, put the cotter pin in and put the little hubcap rubber thing back on, and then of course put the tire back on. And with that, if we shake this tire, it shouldn't shake or do anything inappropriate, and we should be able to turn it. Let's have a look-see. Can we shake it? No, that feels good. I don't feel any play. That's nice. How about turning it? Yep. And that noise you're hearing is that crazy brake assembly right there. It makes a racket. It's a floating disc. I've never seen a floating disc floating calipers and pads, sure, but not a floating disc. Anyway, this is the last year of that nonsense. Pretty happy with that. I'm gonna go ahead and put a link to the Caltric part that I used on this, in case any of y'all out there are interested and need to replace on some axles on your rig. But I think that's gonna do it for tonight. I appreciate you all hanging out with me as we address this nonsense. I hope y'all have a good and safe evening. Y'all ride safe, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye now.